Well guys, it's happened again. And thank God 5,000 of you were willing to point it out to me in the last video, otherwise I might have never even realized that the unthinkable is happening once again. With its specifically tuned copper base and maintenance-free plug-and-play operation, the EVGA 980 Ti Hybrid offers ultra-fast gaming performance at the lowest temperatures possible. Click the link in the description for more details. Okay, so obviously the color in the GPU loop has changed once again. Actually, both of the loops have changed color. It's just the color change in the GPU loop is so dramatic you don't notice how much the CPU loop has changed. Now they both are getting darker and turning more brown, and that color that you see in the GPU loop is kind of what you're getting when it starts to turn brown. But a lot of folks have asked me to please talk more about this, why it's happening, because I've been using pastel. So lots of people have been using pastel, and now people are afraid to use the pastel fluid. Well, the fluid that's being used in here, as I just said, is the Mayhem's Pastel. And I know it sounds like paint, kind of looks like paint, it's non-see-through, which made things look very, very cool for custom loops because you didn't have that transparency, and it looked, as you can see with the pretty loop in there, it looks very, very good. It's a cool way to add color. Now pastel's base coolant is actually Dragon Ice, and it's made by, well, Dragon Ice, which is a nanofluid, and its base color is white. And Mayhem's takes it and pretty much cuts it and does their own thing with it, and then adds a bunch of dyes to make these various colors that you see. And in fact, you could even start out with a white base and mix dyes yourself and create your own custom color. Pastel, because it is more solid, is going to also make impurities that are in your loop, pH imbalances, and flux really show up. For instance, if you have a radiator that has a ton of leftover flux in it and you have a white loop, instead of turning kind of this brown color, it would start to look kind of green. What's really weird is I've talked to a lot of folks who have darker color pastel fluids like the purples and the blues and things like that, and they tend to get a little bit lighter in color as the loop gets dirty. So it's really weird where the bright colors turn dark and the dark colors turn bright. Right off the bat, I want to say that this is not really a problem with Mayhem's, and it's not necessarily a problem with the block and radiator manufacturers. I think, now here's what I feel is happening here. We are starting to get a lot of long-term use data coming back from customers, and it's really kind of alarming the amount of people on various forums that have complained about their loops changing color. Now I think that this is something that has been around all along, it's just it's much more noticeable in the pastel fluids, especially bright colors like white, that blueberry color, and this yellow. It really is obvious. Now why is the GPU loop changing color faster than the CPU loop? Well, temperature can affect the acceleration at which these things are happening. And the hotter it gets, it tends to be happening much, much quicker, especially with the GPU loop putting out nearly 1,500 watts when overclocked. Actually, it's more like 1,300 watts in that cooling loop. With the overclocked Titan X's, it can get pretty damn hot when I start gaming and playing or doing stress tests on my system. Let's face it, I don't play a lot of games, but I love to just overclock and benchmark for the hell of it. Most of it you guys don't even see, it's just a hobby of mine. Like, can we get 25 extra megahertz out of these today, sort of thing. So that's why the GPU loop tends to be showing its discoloration much, much faster. Now here's the thing that really kind of confuses me when it comes to this discoloration. One, I ran Mayhem's Pastel ever since doing my initial system update with Skunkworks last year, and I used the same sunset yellow, and it didn't change colors on me. It didn't change colors on me either when I had the 3 780s in the loop, but it started changing colors on me when I had the 980s and now the Titan X's. So I don't really know what's different. Now here's the thing, I did change the radiators, and some folks have been like, well, that's because you changed radiators and you didn't do an acid cleaning on there, you didn't use the Blitz cleaning kit, and you got flux and blah, 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 because people like to tell me what I did, even though they weren't even here. But the reality is, the radiators I was using before this were the AlphaCool radiators, which are arguably one of the most dirty radiators that you can get from the factory, requiring a lot of cleaning before you use them. They tend to do their soldering and stuff and then just ship it, and it's up to you to actually do the acid cleaning to get rid of most of the flux that's inside those radiators. However, these radiators are Hardware Labs radiators. These are the Black Ice Nemesis GTS radiators, which are arguably one of the most clean radiators on the market. And I think the thing that's most frustrating about this is the fact that I have cleaned these radiators now 4 times. 4 times. Now the real question is, why does it keep happening? It could be anything, really. There could be tons of things going on in there. And here's the bottom line. I don't have the time to figure it all out. So I'm kind of done dealing with the pastel personally, especially on a loop like this that puts out a ton of heat. Now you might not have this problem if you're running 1 GPU or even 2, and especially if you've got, you know, a lot of radiator space. And even though I've got a 560 rad in here as well as a 280 rad, giving me a shit ton of surface area for cooling, it still gets really hot. Because like I said, it's like 1,300 watts of heat dissipation that these radiators have to handle. So the loop gets really, really warm. And it makes this room 100 degrees in no time if I simply turn on a benchmark and leave the door closed and don't have the air conditioner running. But anyway, with that, that means I've got some future plans here that I want to do with Skunkworks. And here's the thing, I feel like I've done a lot of Skunkworks videos, and I feel like I've just beat the subject into the ground. And I know there's people out there that are agreeing with me right now, like, okay, yay, Skunkworks, whoop-de-doo, we've seen it enough, who fucking cares? Well, there's also a lot of you out there who do care, which is why we're talking about this today. And I assume that if you do care, you're still here, and if you don't, you probably didn't click on this video anyway. So who am I talking to right now? So, future plans. Every time this system comes apart, you guys know I try to upgrade it, evolve it in some way. So when it comes to storage, I'm going to try to beef up the storage in here even further. I might go with a large M.2 drive, I'm not even sure, but I am going to change out the motherboard because I want to try out some other things. There's some things about the EVGA X99 classified board that I love, and there are some things that I really don't like about it. For instance, the 90-degree connectors. I'm not a fan of that, especially in this big O case, it still is a problem. The other thing is I just kind of want to check out some other stuff. So I'm going to be taking the X99 classified and moving that over to my test bench with my 5930K, and I'm going to be putting the Gigabyte SoC Champion X99 overclocking motherboard in here, which you guys know is an orange and black theme. Now obviously, some of you have already caught on like, wait a minute, you said you were going to do a green build because of this coolant issue. But yep, I am going to do an orange theme because I figure if Skunkworks wants to be orange so damn bad, I might as well just go ahead and oblige. Now green has been done a bit, and I think the green would look fantastic in here, but I want to try orange. I think the gunmetal black and orange would look really, really neat if done properly. So I'm going to be putting in that motherboard. Might have to rebend some tubes. I'm assuming the socket for the CPU is not going to be in the exact same position, so we'll be playing around with that. I'm going to upgrade the memory to Corsair Dominator with the orange tops on there. So we're going to be doing a memory upgrade in this thing as well. We are also going to be doing orange transparent fluid. I'm also really tempted to put my 4th Titan X in there simply because I can. But at the same time, I don't want to add more heat to that loop. I've even been thinking about going the other way and taking one of the Titans out. I don't know. I really don't know what I'm going to do regarding that. But I've got to get, I'm probably putting new fans in here altogether. These Corsairs in here, a couple of them are making some vibration due to some bearings I think are starting to wear out. I'm not really even sure. I don't want to repaint these rings. It's going to be another project, guys. I know a lot of you probably really don't care, but at the same time, a lot of folks do want to know about this system, and I've always said this system is a bit of an evolution that kind of, you know, parallels the growth of the channel as being a growth of the system. So I don't know, we'll go from there. Now, one other thing I need to tackle while I'm in here, which is going to actually add a bit of time to this kind of a overhaul, is the fact that my GPU loop is getting hotter and hotter when it comes to the temperatures of the GPU core. In fact, even though these things are water cooled, while not overclocked, and these massive radiators, I have actually seen temperatures get up into the mid to upper 60s C on the GPU temps. That is way too hot for a water-cooled loop, which is making me think that I'm starting to get some clogging going on in these blocks. And now that could also be because I do have soft tubing in the basement of this, which could have leached some plasticizer, and with the super hot temperatures and the nano fluid, who knows what's happening with that loop, it could be starting to clog in those micro channels. So I'm gonna take them apart, I'm gonna clean them, and then we're gonna start all over. I really need a work area. I'm not looking forward to doing that in this room. I need a garage. I don't even have a garage. But anyway, it's time to go. You guys noticed the color change. It was obviously time that we had this discussion. You know, it's like the birds and the bees of PCs. We got to talk about when things start to change and you start to notice things and you start to feel funny. It was time to talk about it. I mean, it was as awkward as this conversation was, it had to happen. But anyway, I've obviously made up my decision. Orange, black, and gunmetal. That's the colors I'm going with. But I'm curious though about overall what you guys would have done if this were yours. Now, there's a straw poll down in the description of this video. Click it and vote what you would have done. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. This is completely opinion here. And even though your opinion may differ than mine and yours may differ from the comment down below yours, it doesn't make you or them wrong. Remember, this is all subjective and taste. So I'm just curious what color you guys would have gone with. Time to go, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video, which I have lots of things I could do. Did you guys know that there's a 380X coming out from AMD? Yeah, I got one of those on the way. Let's see, I've also got the Sapphire R9 380 ITX. That's gonna be a neat, I mean, they kind of took like what they did with the 285 and they did it with the 380. So that's gonna be nice, a nice little 380. Got to figure out something to do with that. We have also got this guy right here, the Gigabyte Extreme 980 Ti with a radiator in there. This is a product that exactly exists because of, well, I would like to think the suggestions I gave them a year ago about where they went wrong with the water force and what they should have done. Unfortunately, every other brand on the market has come out with their single 120 rad GPU long before Gigabyte came out with theirs, even though they were technically one of the first to try it with the water force. I wish they had done it faster, but we'll see how this thing performs. But anyway, guys, time to get out of here. We will see you in the next video, and as always, thanks for watching.